So you decide to say yes to Evan, even though I guess you understood there could be some profound ramifications, and Trump was very much in control or about to be in control of the party at that time. What were your experiences like on the trail? Were you concerned about, frankly, threats to your physical safety? What was campaigning with Evan like?
Yeah. So in many ways, first of all, I would say it was overall a just a incredible experience and really transformative in my life. So I would do it 10 times over, even though it was only for a couple of months. I like to say I got kind of in many ways the best ways of running for, on a presidential ticket in that it was short lived. One didn't have to do it for 2 years, 4 years. We didn't have to spend that much time raising money because we just didn't raise much money and it was too late. And we didn't have, years of oppo flying at us. We did have some oppo, and I'll get to the safety point in a minute. And I got to run, like really run with a partner. Like we both were first time candidates, kind of having to figure it out as we went. And then I think the thing that was kind of the theme around our campaign was just that we were giving voters an affirmative and a positive pro-democracy option at a time when voters were very dissatisfied with the two options. They saw both these candidates as corrupt. It was very much, as it has tended to be, there was a hold your nose effect where you would hear a lot from voters that they were having to go to thinking about going to the polls and having to hold their nose for one of those candidates, Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump. Whereas our supporters would come and say, thank you, like, thank you so much for giving me an affirmative option that we can go to the polls and vote for and be really proud, walk out with our head held high that we voted for you with your positive message, with your bridge building message, with your pro-democracy message, your anti-corruption message and beyond. And so I just found it incredibly inspiring, especially when students would say, this is my first time casting a vote. And I kind of didn't imagine this, the way the presidential cycle had shaped up. I couldn't have imagined that. And now I get to vote for you, or, veterans who had said something similar, just in the states we campaigned in, which were limited, but just Utah is where we ended up spending the most time at the end. You just saw like real retail kind of local politics. Was it's just a ton of self-organizing, people organizing their own events for us, setting them up at their town hall to make sure they had an opportunity to hear from us. And it really felt like the best of America. On the other hand, we did, especially once we started to catch, at least a bit of fire in Utah and appear to be a threat there. The Trump campaign in particular sent hecklers and detractors to our events who would cause a lot of problems and be yelling and screaming. There were threats to our safety. There were cryptic letters that were sent to my home while I was traveling, where my husband
Terrible.
and young children were at the time that, we had to, turn into the FBI. We ended up having to get security at the end. We couldn't qualify, we didn't qualify for Secret Service. It was kind of too late anyway. So we had to hire our own private security. It was, sometimes when I reflect back, it was moving so quickly that I couldn't even fully appreciate at the moment the type of risk that we may have been facing. But it was certainly there, and it certainly reminds me now of the types of risks. Obviously, all people in public life face, but a lot of the election officials who had to stand up, particularly against their own party, for the legitimacy of the 2020 election results.
It's gotten darker since even that cycle. Though, thank you for your service and your courage, and congratulations on giving people something positive to vote for. So again, you did get, I want to say, about 20% of the vote in Utah, which is a freaking ton. I mean, if you think about it.
Yeah, so in Utah, it was like a little over 21%. I mean, at one
Wow.
point, yeah, at one point we were actually pulling ahead or even with the other candidates. Trump actually, he didn't come to Utah, but he sent Pence there. And Pence's big message, it was very clear and it was really powerful. It was really about two things. One was the Supreme Court and kind of like, you need to vote for Republican to get our judges on the Supreme Court, and also just come home. Like, come home to the Republican Party. This is home to you, which is really pretty interesting. We think about politics as really serves this role in people's lives of this place where they belong as their identity. And Pence tapped into that for the campaign. He told people, come home. And that really was effective. for those Republicans. But we still, we got over 21% of the vote. In Idaho, we got 12%. I believe, not all these ballots were counted everywhere because they don't count them unless they're going to make a difference on the outcome. But we got the highest number of presidential write-in votes sort of in any cycle ever, up to that point. So I'm very, very proud of what we were able to do on a shoestring budget. The dollar per vote couldn't be beat in terms of the amount spent versus what we did. And more importantly, it was the message we were able to get across and form the foundation for a new movement in politics, which continues today. And, you've really taken the mantle and are running with.
It's awesome that you frankly managed to get their attention to the point where they had to divert Pence to head to Utah, because the last thing anyone thought was going to happen was they had to spend time in Utah. So you guys did great.
Yeah, it was really funny, actually, because Trump started to talk about our campaign, not even at his rallies. As we know, he's a little bit sensitive, you might say. And so he didn't like the fact that there was any kind of challenge. And so he's like, there's this guy, Ben McMullen, who's campaigning, going coffee shop to coffee shop in Utah, which is pretty funny because notoriously, Utah is a heavily
they don't really drink
Mormon
so much
state.
coffee,
Most
right?
of them don't drink much coffee. Yeah, so it shows how much he knew about it.
Hey YouTube, glad you're enjoying the podcast. If you really like it, hit subscribe, and then YouTube will notify you every time we have a bang up new guest. Thank you.